Another big auction day, another change of fortune for so many people. And I'm overjoyed for those people and those families who've seen all kinds of times and who've just been lifted by what is on offer. That and many other things to talk about in this little blog. The first thing that struck me at the end of the mini auction was that so many new flowers have bloomed. It also told me that the little leagues and the Mushtaq Ali are now being taken a lot more seriously than before. As the league evolves, it's starting to look at the little leagues as well. And I'm delighted because that is a sign of maturity of all the big leagues. It's where the feeder systems are now starting to get established. So you see their players coming through from the Uttar Pradesh League, from the Madhya Pradesh League, the Delhi League, the Punjab League. In fact, they've taken a big jump over the more established little leagues like in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So that is good to see. People are taking these more seriously from the franchise point of view. They're looking at these little leagues. They've seen Priyansh Arya, for example, come through, but they're placing so much store on it. They're putting so much investment behind it that I hope it comes good for them, especially with teams like CSK that I'll talk about very shortly. From the players' point of view, there's two kinds of adjustments to be made. One is a sudden adjustment to this kind of fame, this kind of wealth, this kind of awareness. Wow, I've got so much. Suddenly, I've got new friends, I've got new relatives. Everyone's looking at me very differently, but also the adjustment to next year or the year after. We saw this year too that while new flowers bloomed, there were a lot of yesterday's flowers that were being cast aside. And I think we need to slowly evolve the mechanism as the IPL grows for looking after these players who come into wealth and ensuring that this wealth and fame doesn't crush them. I'm just a little concerned about this. I wish them well. People like Prashant Veer and Karthik Sharma, beautiful stories. Prashant Veer, a little bit more unknown. I go around the circuit, I ask people, and they talk very highly about Karthik Sharma. And I'm very, very, very happy for Akib Nabidar. I'm happy for two reasons. One is we're all getting carried away by strike rates way beyond where I think we should be at that level of cricket because everybody's got great strike rates. It worries me a little bit about the kind of conditions on offer on the Mushtaq Ali and the quality of the opposition for the good players in the little league. So I'm happy that Akib Nabi, a fast bowler, who's done all the hard yards. He's 28, 29 years old. He's had some beautiful Ranji Trophy season. But as I said on Crickbuzz yesterday, I'm very, very happy that another cricketer from Jammu Kashmir has come in because I think he'll be an inspiration to many others to understand that you play cricket, you want to play for India, and sport can have such a wonderful effect on young people growing up. And I hope Akib Nabidar, much like to some extent Umran Malik was, Abdul Samad was, before them Parvez Rasool was, that they can serve as this inspiration. So that much for all the beautiful new flowers that have bloomed. And I wish them well, and I hope they stay in these new vases for much longer. What else struck me? A huge pivot for the Chennai Super Kings. He always looked at Chennai Super Kings and said they looked at experienced players. Dhoni places a huge store on experience. People who are not doing that well suddenly come there. You might think that they are finished and they discover a new lease of life in Chennai. They've gone completely. And look at the team that they've got now. Ayush Matre, DFL Brevis, Karthik Sharma, Prashant Veer, Noor Ahmed. It's a completely different side. They've invested heavily, very, very heavily in youth. But as I said, I hope it comes off. But it's 2 seasons because our system at the moment means that every 3 years you've got to revamp. You only keep 4 or 5, and then you have a huge new auction again. We have to find a way around it and have to find a way for irrational purchases in mini auctions. A lot of these players, very good as they are, would have got nowhere near this kind of reward if they'd been in the main auction. So that's something to worry about. But CSK, wow, you'll be one of the short list of teams that I'll be looking at very closely to see how you evolve. It is now also very clear that this is the Indian Premier League. Now, if you look at there's 80 Indian players, there's 80 overseas players, 170 Indian players in the auction. The pool for those 80 is wide, is huge. The competition there is enormous. If you don't get one player, you'll get another. If you don't get a second, you'll get a third. And so the valuations of international players, while some players will still get huge valuations, the Klaasens and the Purans and the Cummins and the Starks from last time, you'll find that increasingly with the competition, you'll get very high quality players for a lot less money than the Indian players will go for. Whereas the 170 Indian players that you're picking, the pool there is a lot smaller. And so you'll find more and more the Indian players' valuations will start to go up and the overseas players will come down. But I still think we need to resolve this whole business of the mini auction getting much higher valuations than elsewhere. Then some players specifically, yes, Cameron Green. I can see why KKR said they're very happy at that price. I wouldn't even have been surprised if they put aside 30 crores. There was a lot of money chasing very few quality players. And I think they'd be very happy with the deal they've got eventually. What it means for Cameron Green, I don't know. What is the environment that they will create? If Ajinkya Rahane is the captain again, he's a good man. He'll create the right environment. But it's a lot to ask for from Cameron Green, who they expect to play the Andre Russell role, but from up front over there. Liam Livingston, I tipped him to be the second most expensive player over there. For a long time, he must have been thinking, oops, am I going to get picked? Am I not going to get picked? I still think he's a very good buy, maybe not at that price, because you have to give people the option of having done very well, shown a lot of promise, dropped out of England, dropped out of RCB, and give them the option of then coming back and doing well. And I just see him fitting beautifully into that SRH lineup. It is such a scary top six, scarier than a lot of international teams at the T20 World Cup. So wow, I'm just waiting to see how that SRH top six stacks up. So Green and Livingston, to me, the two big picks. I know you're saying, what about Pathirana? What about Fritz? I'm going to talk about Pathirana in just a moment before I finish. What else? Sarfaraz and Prithvi Shaw. Franchises have said, we love your talent. We'd like to give you another chance. There seems to be something way beyond their innate skill and the numbers that they generate that is worrying a lot of people. Much talked about with Prithvi Shaw. I don't know what the issue with Sarfaraz is, but he's in red hot form in the Mushtaq Ali. He might just turn out to be the purchase of this year's mini auctions. I also thought I'd look at what I thought were the most interesting buys and the most intriguing buys for me. To me, Venkatesh Iyer to RCB, Quinton de Kock to Mumbai Indians, Shivam Mavi to Sunrisers. They needed someone to bowl in the power play. I think Shivam Mavi is a very good player. Wanindu Hasaranga to LSG, another intriguing player for me. Has everything to be a top player at the IPL, but teams keep releasing him. So I think at that price, he's an excellent buy for LSG. David Miller to Delhi Capitals, a great example, both Miller and Ben Duckett, of recognizing there's a need there. I need to go in there. They got a lot of players at base price, which just highlights what I was saying a little while earlier. And I think Ravi Bishnoi to RR is also could turn out to be a really good buy. Matisha Pathirana, the numbers do not suggest anywhere near the price that he has got. And I just hope that in the new home, in a good environment, and the environment at CSK was better than he could have asked for, that he just flowers, that he becomes the player everyone thinks he does. But 18 crores for Pathirana and 9.2 crores for Mustafizur Rahman left me a little intrigued. And I just wonder if their price was boosted by people to reduce the KKR person. And that is why the auction dynamics become such an important criterion. And that is why trades, as Joy said, are such a good method. So there you are. Those are my thoughts from this year's mini auction. Cannot wait for the IPL to start.
So thank you for watching and do subscribe to this channel.